If any try to shoot you, make sure that you leave him leaking. He said,
I'ma hold you down when problems pop up.
how you got me moving this dope? Want me in lock up? He said,
don't you want the Benz vertible with the top cut?
Yeah.
Stop, bitch, and get in that kitchen. Let it rock up. Bitches love the dope boy, especially when it's wop up. I know you know Ron.
who the plug from by the block up?
I'll tell you a little secret. Make sure that you keep your mouth shut. Ron got a Lexus, crib in Philly and Texas. Trips to the Bahamas, just got a whip for his mama. He fucking up them commas, be honest, he seeing decent though.
I hear you, but I just seen Ron about a week ago. In fact, he ain't looking too good. His knees is kind of slow. I asked him why the struggle. He got stuck up for his bundle, but them 6 hollow tips in his legs what made him crumble.
He got a house and mama is living good.
Said the feds took it all. He right back in the hood. I see you try to play me. You gave us crack in the 80s. Made us abort our babies and making hoes out our ladies. I know you got me gravy, but Satan, you must be crazy. It's gonna take more than them cars when to amaze me. I seen niggas shoot for the stars, but being lazy. Never get their head at the clouds, so you don't faze me.
I guarantee that you gon' regret it. Remember I said it.
Nah, you could dead it.
What you saying? I can't win?
Nah, devil, nice try. So until we meet again.
I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't religious or superstitious, but we've been getting fucked and put to the side like a mistress. Police patrolling why? Because prison became a business. They murder one of ours and they start talking about forgiveness. We think that it's alright because we got public assistance. If this ain't hell, dog, what is this? Where was all lives mattered when they killed Osama? There was no peace talk like the Dalai Lama. Bush dropping bombs saying he gon' bring the drama. They got justice, man, they even caught the Boston bomber. But when we ride, they send the military and armor. When we fight oppression, then our people die a martyr. You reap what you sow, some people call it karma. When Christ return, y'all gon' get this harvest like a farmer. Don't tell me don't bring up the past no more. They still trying to settle the score with a side of Shakur. I changed my life and I'm just trying to live life right. But at night I look behind me and see flashing lights, patting me down. You got nothing that's poking me right. I don't smoke or push pills, I gave up my vice. So Mr. Officer, why you wanna take my life? And your honor, why you gave our homeboy's life? I've been wondering why you shot our homeboy twice. Pussy with a gun screaming out that he got a knife. He came from Habibi's spot, it was chicken and rice. Shit's trife, I'm just giving visuals like Skype. Ask Trayvon, Mike Brown, a Kai Gurley, Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Philando, Olden, Sterling, Jaquan McDonald. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. I pray for the demise of the devil. Lord knows I despise every devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil and said, I pray you die, every devil.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
You see, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this white ass, need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that bygone be. Boy, ass need to stop and ask you to prophets. My nigga serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed it up for parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Nowhere is gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the score never settled. See the prophets. So I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass see the prophets. Like we all come together. Cause they say God so loved the world. God so loved the world, and boy, your ass need to stop it, ass see the prophets. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. You gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. One more step, I'm solid for show. To the fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no loss, ain't no talking when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just pay with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell them we can't keep me slave. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, got your baby pants through the fire. Ain't she the prophets? That baby so belong to the Lord. How dare you abort it? Devil will fail you, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring me my water. Plus your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Their ass need to stop it, ass she the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years. Right. But that's what the church is for, lying. That's why they exist, to lie the money out of your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass she the give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
sound. Salakia to the chat. I wasn't looking at the you got that precept? I wasn't looking at the can y'all hear me now? I wasn't looking at the chat. I should have checked that first. But yeah, if you wasn't at the West Coast Cookout, man, you missed out. You missed out. And just in short, man, we had a wonderful time. We just coming together with brothers and sisters, seeing all the heavy hitters. Shout out to Commander General YAHANNA. Shout out to General Mayak. Shout out to General Mahaiman. Shout out to General Q. Shout out to Captain Tazariak. Shout out to Captain Akash. Shout out to Captain Gadalhart. Shout out to Captain Quam. Shout out to all the brothers and sisters that were able to make it. Like I said, there's something that I left out about No Jumper. Now, the highlight that was my highlight of the event. And when we went to No Jumper, we had security. Captain Akkad is in charge of security, and those brothers did a hell of a job securing the perimeter, being professional, so professional, and so so right in their profession in the I.S.U.P.K. and doing their job on Shamar that business owners came out and asked them who they were and wanted to, give them their card and tell them that they'll pay for them to work for them. One business owner came out and said he deals with celebrities. He deals with, what's the Beatles' name? What's the Beatle? One of them that's still alive. Paul McCartney. He said, we get people like Paul McCartney. We get people like this. I can use you guys. We in Burbank, we in LA. So they see brothers on Shamar and they like, who's getting interviewed? The president? Who was in there? You know what I mean? And so big up to the Shamar department, big up to Captain Akkad, Natazab, Kasar Pakad, and Karatazah. Those brothers was on their job, man. So, what I'm saying? Big up to those brothers. Those brothers was on their job. They was doing the damn thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, like I soaked up some things, got to, talk with WAC 100, got to talk with Tariq Nasheed. Adam was just weird. He's just weird. You know what I mean? I didn't have no desire to talk to him, but I wanted to see, because Tariq Nasheed is a heavyweight when you think about the conscious community and black stuff. So Tariq Nasheed, if you don't know, he's the producer of Hidden Colors. If you ever watch any Hidden Colors programs, Hidden Colors was real big in going into the hidden history of black people within the black community. And he's like a Umar Johnson. You know what I'm saying? He's on that level. So it was good to see. It was great to see Captain Tazara go into that arena and just, make it look like it was, a piece of cake. It wasn't hard. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking at the chat now. I can see that the sound was out. So y'all can hear me loud and clear, right? Give me a 1 if you can hear me loud and clear. That's why we need a brother that could just pay attention to the chat. Just pay attention to the comments. You know what I mean? Earlier, young man Avant, you was asking me about the Black Lives Matter movement and when did it start? The Black Lives Matter movement started. It was Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown. I believe it was Mike Brown, which sparked the Black Lives. The hands up, don't shoot. Then Black Lives Matter. That was around 2010. So it's been around for that time. We was listening. He was listening to Captain Kataza's song, "The Devil." Right? I ain't had to die to meet the devil. And that question was posed. Yeah, but the Black Lives Matter situation, it started with unarmed black men being killed, black boys being killed. And this is during the time of the second term of Barack Obama. So more black men have been killed, were killed on camera at any time under Barack Obama's watch. And he literally didn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? That lets you know he wasn't our people from the beginning. You know what I mean? Because he didn't do nothing about it. But the Black Lives Matter movement was trash. It was not a movement that was about black people, as far as helping black people, as far as, promoting black families. When you go and look at the mission statement on the website of Black Lives Matter, it wasn't for the nuclear black family. It wasn't for a black family with a father in the home and a mother. It was for extended families and families that are LGBTQ families, those type of families. So as you can see, Black Lives Matter has fallen apart. The women that ran it, they basically, one of them, Patrice Cullors, she I believe they took in $90 million in donations, and she bought about 3 different houses and put them in and pretended that these houses are, she gave money to the father of her child, and to one of her, I believe her brother or somebody, for so-called businesses that they had. And she put money in her people's pockets, and then she bought about $3 million homes in LA, but never housed none of the brothers that they built their foundation off, never housed none of their family members, or set up scholarships for none of their family members, or none of those type of things. All the money just went in the air, it just disappeared. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, now this saying Black Lives Matter, that is true, because our lives do matter. But that movement of holding hands with everybody and because when you looked at those protests, it wasn't just black people, it was everybody out there. And that's another thing. We can never have something to ourselves as black people. Everybody needs to join in and get in, and we allow them to, which weakens the fight, which weakens the protest or whatever we're trying to do. It weakens it now, because now we have, somebody that is not for us infiltrating, or someone that doesn't understand us infiltrating the movement. And that has happened. That's been the history of black people. That's been the history of black movements, of the Black Panthers, all of these movements being infiltrated. What's the precept? Oh, so getting back to the cookout, if y'all missed the West Coast cookout, it's a beautiful thing. What I was saying earlier when y'all couldn't hear is that it is beautiful. It's a great feeling to be around brothers that you don't normally see, and to get around the generals and the captains, and to talk to them and share ideas and converse. And that gives you a battery in your back. That gives you a spark to do the work. It gives you a push to do the work. It strengthens you. You know what I mean? And so it's like iron sharpening iron. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you could feel a certain type of way because you're going through things or whatever. And then a brother comes along that you haven't seen, and it strengthens your resolve. You know what I mean? It makes you, it strengthens your stance in the truth. And that's what these times do, these cookouts. Now, everybody knows the Passover. The Passover is amazing too. You know what I mean? But these cookouts is for that. That's the value of these cookouts. And not only that, for brothers and sisters, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who are not in the truth, to just come and actually be around the brothers that they watch on YouTube, that they see, that they wonder about. You might have people that's teeter-tottering, or whether or not I want to go into the truth and I don't know how it is. It might be this way. I heard it's this way. Then you get around brothers and see brothers is at the cookout. They on the grill, just like your family. They playing basketball just like your family. You know what I'm saying? They selling shirts like you at the family reunion. Everything that goes on in your normal, that you would call normal, we do. Right. And we have a good time at it. You know what I mean? If you could, give me that precept.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron. So a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
The Bible says that iron sharpeneth iron, right? You get sharp when you're around brothers. And certain brothers have a demeanor about them that picks up your spirit. They have a countenance about them, meaning they have a look and they have an energy for the truth, a zeal for the truth that you might not have, but it picks up your spirit and strengthens you. Read it from the top again.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron. So a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
A man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. The countenance is the look, your look. You know what I mean? Sometimes you see a brother might be down, a sister might be down, might be going through some things, and you can sharpen them up by giving them words of encouragement, by, you know what I mean, saying, you know, things, putting things in their ear to boost their spirit. Man, let that go. Man, that's in the past. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get better. Don't trip on that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There's things you can say to people that can boost their spirit. There's an energy that can be in you that when you come around, it just brightens up the whole room. You know what I mean? Everybody could be down, but this one person comes around, you know what I mean, and they sharpen everybody. Everybody's up. Everybody's spirit is up. You know what I mean? People that's maybe thinking one way, now they're like, you know what? I was tripping, man. I was tripping. Look at this brother, man. This brother is so strong. He done been through so many things, man. And he still got the zeal of the Lord. He's still doing the work of the Lord. You know what I mean? Because we all are human and we can get in our minds. And before you know it, you let a demon come in there, and then you'll be thinking about something that, you know what I mean, after it's passed, you'll be like, man, I don't know why in the hell I was thinking about that, man. I don't know what I was on demon time, man. I was bugging out. I had a demon on me, man. I was tripping. You know what I'm saying? So that's the beauty of those cookouts. You know what I mean? You could drop that. Another thing, I know I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure there was some deaths last night. I'm pretty sure some children got some candy that had something in it last night. And that's why the Lord says we shouldn't celebrate these holidays. A couple of days ago, y'all, I know everybody know who Skin Bone is. Skin Bone had a Halloween party, and it got shot up. And 15, 16 people got shot at the Halloween party. I don't think anybody died, but this is in Chicago. 15 to 16 people got shot. And that's just another example of why when we decide to do these, to follow the culture of America and celebrate what it's not just about Halloween. It's we decide to celebrate Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, all of these days, something horrible happens. Something horrible happens. And it may not be everybody. It may not be you. You probably done had 30 Christmases and nothing happened. But it's coming, especially when you hear the words of the prophets of the Lord, when we tell you not to do it. Then when it happens, you can look back and say, you know what? Those brothers was telling me this would happen. They was warning me before destruction came. They was warning me that the Lord said he's not with these holidays. He's not with them. If you could give me, what is that? Amos? Is it 5:20? I hate your solemn assemblies. Excuse me. Amos 5:20. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it is? Oh, my memory is working. Go ahead.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days.
The Lord said he despises our feast days. He despises those holidays, those days when we enjoy so much, those days that we partake in so much. I know a lot of people think that Halloween is, harmless, dressing up and, putting on a costume. Well, how you feel has nothing to do with the laws of God. How you feel about something has nothing to do with facts. And the facts are that these holidays come from your oppressor. The facts are they come from paganism. Some of them are satanic in origin. Some of them are things that our forefathers picked up in the Bible a long time ago, and we're doing them today don't even know why we're doing it. Don't even know how it started. Don't even know that we are worshiping another God. We don't know. You know what I mean? So your feelings have absolutely nothing to do with what the Lord requires of us. That's the problem. Black and Hispanic people are always caught up in their feelings, how they feel about something. You always talking about how you feel, and you know, pleasure and doing what you want to do, when the Lord is against that. Read it from the top.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
I despise your feast days.
The Lord said he hate those days. He hate Christmas. He hate Thanksgiving. That's what's coming up next, right? You're going to gather together around a table with the honey ham and the macaroni cheese with the bacon sprinkles and the, you know, I'm just imagining. I've never had it, but I'm just saying the turkey, not just the turkey. You're gonna deep fry the turkey. You know, that's supposed to be something special when it comes to Thanksgiving. People deep fry a turkey. You know what I mean? But the thing is that these days are days, because the Lord is against them. You're going to see chaos happen on these days. You're going to see families fight on these days. You're going to see people get into it. You're going to see people be unalived on these days. It's been happening every year. It happens all the time. Like I said, it may not be you, but the Lord is warning you. And of course, at Christmas, you're going to see people fight. Somebody ain't going to get the present that they wanted, and they're going to be pissed off, and it's going to start an argument. Some child is going to not get the present that they want, and they're going to punch a hole in the wall, and they're going to be mad at their parents. You know what I mean? And then there's a child that their parents can't afford anything, and they ain't going to have a toy. They're going to go outside, and they're going to be crushed because they're going to look at all the other kids with all these expensive toys, but their parent couldn't get them no toy. Meanwhile, we're not supposed to be celebrating it anyway. You could drop that. So yeah, man. So we are not supposed to be celebrating that. Now they done found traces of, they had a story about I believe it was last year, but I read it this year, where what are those things called where they do the trick or treating, where they roll up with a car with, what is it, trunk or treat? What is it? Where they trunk or treat, where they roll up and they give out candy to kids, right? Well, one kid got some candy that was laced with THC. He got an edible. He got him an edible. He got a good, psychedelic high. You know what I mean? Because those edibles be a lot stronger than smoking. But that's the point. There's two posts right now. One of the I shared both of the posts on my page. One person found like a nail that was bent like a U inside of a Snicker bar. His little sister or little cousin had bit into it. And then there's another one right now. I don't know what it is. It looks like a nail. It looks like a pill. I don't know. Not a nail, but it looks like it could be a pill or something inside another candy bar. So to think that you could just send your kids to perfect strangers' houses and nothing will happen, you're out of your damn mind. Because we grew up, when we was growing up, they used to say check the candy because people put syringes in candy. Excuse me, they would put razor blades in candy. So we were told this, you know what I mean? But we live in a different time now where, you know what I mean, people are crazy these days. People don't give a damn, you know what I mean? And there are people that are looking at your child walk away, and it might not be on Halloween. It might be because of Halloween that they saw your child, and there's some weird, crazy pedophile or something that starts taking a liking to your child or following your child. You know what I mean? But we're not supposed to celebrate them, and we would be safe. We would be safe from harm. You know what I mean? That's one less problem we would have to deal with. That's one less problem we would have to worry about. You know what I mean? Celebrating these holidays just adds extra pressure and problems to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Half of us don't even have the money to partake in them. I ain't gonna say half. The majority of us don't even have the money to partake in them, but we still do, and find ourselves in debt. Find ourselves, running up credit cards, and just because we want to make our family happy. You know what I mean? You can drop that. So what else I want to talk about? I had a few things I wanted to go over to recap. And then we'll get into the topic. We'll get into that main topic. But what was that last class? that wasn't the last class when I went over. What was it? I went over the article in Raleigh, North Carolina, where it was talking about Jews going into Africa. Was that the last class? I believe. I think it was, because I went over Jews in West Africa. I believe it was. I went over. I think I went over both, or was it just Halloween?
Halloween and War in Israel.
Con. So this book, many brothers in the school got this book. It's called "When I Was a Slave: Memoirs from the Slave Narrative Collection." And there's some particular narratives that stand out in this book. So we're going to go over one, because many people say, knowing all the history, and if you've been in my classes, you know the history of us being Israelites in West Africa. But many people say that when you see narratives where enslaved Black people are talking about, comparing themselves to Israelites, then that's just something that they just identify from reading the Bible. Well, it just cannot be a coincidence. You understand? We had so many brothers and sisters that were keeping the law, that were actually holding on to the law of Moses in West Africa. So it just can't be a coincidence. Give me a second. Let me get this page. Where we at? So this is page 142. And if you could read that, it's highlighted. Let me put the book up real quick. Yeah, hold it in front of the camera for me. Salakia. 142. The other, you got to pull it back. There you go. So that book is when I was a slave. It's a real small book. It's a pretty good book though.
This is page 142 out of the book When I Was a Slave. It was hard back in them days. Every morning before daybreak, you had to be up and ready to get to the field. It was the same in the year except on Sunday.
So what you gotta understand is that the way they're writing it in the book is how it sounded, how the slaves pronounced it. So you gotta kind of think about how they would have pronounced it in the South,
It was the same every day in the year except on Sunday. And then we was getting up earlier than the folks do now on Monday. The drivers was hard too. They could say whatever they wanted to you and couldn't say nothing for yourself. Somehow or other, us had an instinct that we was going to be free.
It said the slaves said somehow or other they had an instinct that they were going to be free. Go ahead.
In the event when the day's work was done, the slaves will be found locked in their cabins, praying for the Lord to free them like he did the children of Israel.
Say that again.
In the event when the day's work was done, the slaves will be found locked in their cabins, praying for the Lord to free them like he did the children of Israel.
So it said the slaves will be locked in their cabins when there wasn't no work, praying to the Lord to free them like he did the children of Israel. And you're going to tell me that we are not God's chosen people?
Right.
You're going to tell me that, you niggas is, following the white man. That, that book, that Bible, the white man wrote that book. That don't got nothing to do with our people. You're going to tell me that we are not God's chosen people, that the slaves didn't know that? The history, the records say that the slaves, and I was talking about the Bambara at the time, they practiced, what you would call the faith of the Israelites. And they were the majority of the people brought on slave ships going to Louisiana, going to South Carolina, going to Georgia. You know what I mean? And you mean to tell me that They didn't have some semblance or remembrance of what they practiced or what they believed and who they were. You out of your damn mind. It's right here in the slave narratives that they believed they was the children of Israel. They wanted to be free. They believed that they would be free. They had a feeling that one day they would be free. Understand? You can drop that, man. You can drop that. Now I'm going to get into the topic. All right. I'm going to talk about Jew or Greek. Why does the Bible why does it make a distinction between Jews and Greeks? Why doesn't it make a distinction between Jews and Moabites, or Jews and Romans, or Jews and Egyptians? Why doesn't the Bible make that distinction? And what is this big deal about Jews or Greeks? So we're going to get into that. I'm going to bring out some hardcore artifacts, and we're going to get rocking and rolling. First of all, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 68. All right.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
The Lord said he would bring us into Egypt again with ships, right? We would go into Egypt again, where we would go up. This time we would go by ships. We would go into Egypt, meaning bondage, the house of bondage. How did we know that? The precept is Exodus 20 and 1. He brought us up out of the land. You got that? Exodus 21, that's your precept for Egypt being the house of bondage.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which hath brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So when we're reading in Deuteronomy 28:68, Egypt, it simply means bondage. All right, so go back to that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. Mm-hmm. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So everybody knows this precept. If you ever step foot near a Hebrew Israelite, you know this precept. You know Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This is slavery. This is the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible. And before this came about, we were scattered. We got scattered in different ways. So we were scattered through the Babylonians. We were scattered through the Persian and Medes. We were scattered through the Greeks, and we were scattered through the Romans. And then we were scattered in the transatlantic slave trade, right? But we have been a people that has been scattered to the four corners of the earth. God's chosen people you can find them everywhere on every continent, scattered. So yeah, that's the main idea right now, us being scattered. A lot of people call it the what you call it, the diaspora, being dispersed. Diaspora, you'll hear this term a lot, the diaspora. They call Black Americans part of the diaspora. People that went to Jamaica, West Indies, transatlantic slave trade, these people are part of the diaspora. But they look at this diaspora as a diaspora from Africa, not the diaspora of the Jews. So if you could give me Ezekiel 36 and 16. So like, yeah, Ezekiel 36 and 16.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 16. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings.
So when we dwelt in our own land, when we were in Israel and we had all our own land as the 12 tribes of Israel, we defiled our ways. We defiled the land, and we defiled it by, building altars to other gods and just not doing what the Lord wanted us to do. Go ahead.
Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
So because of the things that we did to the Lord, we were like an unclean woman to the Lord. A woman when she's on her flower, that's how the nation was to the Lord. We were unclean. Read that from the top again.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way. By their doings, their way was before me as the uncleanness of a woman.
Salaki. That's heavy because he said they defiled it by their own way. Wanting to do what you want to do, wanting to live how you want to live, wanting to smoke the weed that you want to smoke, wanting to pop holes that you want to pop, wanting to, do what you want to do. That's what we do today. We do what we want to do. And the same behavior that we have today is the same behavior that our ancestors had in the land of Israel, with God on their side, with the Lord on their side. Go ahead.
Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
Right.
Verse 18. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land.
The Lord poured his fury on us. Go ahead.
And for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen.
And he did what?
And I scattered them among the heathen.
The Lord scattered us among the heathen. He scattered us all over. There were Jews living in Babylon. There were Jews living in Ethiopia. There were Jews living in Egypt. There were Jews living in Athens, Ephesus, Corinth, Rome, Antioch. There were Jews living all over. Is that it on it? What verse are you on?
19.
Go ahead.
And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries.
And they were dispersed through the countries. That's that word dispersed again. You have that word dispersed, the diaspora. What does it mean to be dispersed? Go ahead.
It's like scattered, like spread out.
I would take that. That's if we looked at the brother said scattered, spread out. If we looked at the Merriam dictionary, it probably would say that. To be scattered, to be spread out. We were scattered and spread out, far away from one another. Y'all know how I brought out how you had Jews living in Elephantine. This is Upper Egypt. This is at the almost at the end of the Nile. And they're living there. They're living there during the time of 2 Kings. So you had Jews in little pockets, live in little communities, living in different areas, trying to keep the commandments and trying to, stick with what they remember, their traditions. Go ahead. Oh, that was 19.
No, that's still a little.
Okay.
And they were dispersed through the countries, according to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
So these things happen because of our ways. These things happen. We got dispersed. We had, the Babylonians, the Assyrians come and destroy us and carry some of us away and deport us to their countries. We had the Romans, the Greeks. We had all these different people that came up and destroyed us and took us prisoner, took us captive to their homelands. And the Lord did that because of our ways, because of our treacherous, wicked ways, because of our stiff-necked ways. The Lord let these things happen. These things were bound to happen. These things were, what's the word? Not destined, but not prophesied, but what's the word? These things were meant to happen. That's not the word I was looking for, but I can say it. These things were meant to happen. The Lord wanted them to happen to us for the things that we were doing. You know what I mean? If you could give me what I want to give me James 1:1. Might be James 1:1. Just trying to want you to understand that Israelites were scattered in different lands. You got it? Go ahead.
This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahawashi HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
To the what?
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
So the 12 tribes were scattered abroad. This is what you got to understand about our people. Even in ancient times, they were scattered. They were everywhere. They were dispersed. You know what I mean? And this is something that a lot of Christians and a lot of theologians and people that think they know the Bible, and they say that we're wrong when we're telling you that in the New Testament, the Bible is the same thing. From the old to the new, it's the same thing. God is speaking to the same people. They say, no, God is speaking to everybody. What you got to understand is that Israelites, God's people, because of their wickedness, were scattered in everybody's lands, living everybody's culture, following everybody's gods. That's the same thing here in America. We are dispersed, following white Jesus, following Virgin Mary. You know what I mean? Having communion, having the I don't know what they do in the Christian church. I think they have communion too, but the point is that we are the people. We are scattered. We were scattered then, and we're scattered now. If you could, what do I want? If you could, let's go to you know what? Give me Peter 1:1. Peter 1:1. I'm going to get into some of this history. Then we'll go to Alexander the Greek, or Alexander the Great. First Peter 1:1.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Yahawashi Mashiach, to the strangers scattered through Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia.
To the strangers, Peter said, to the strangers scattered. So we got to figure out who's the strangers, because maybe the strangers might just be other nations. So we need the precept for that. The precept is Leviticus 25 and 35. Let's get that.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 35.
And
if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then shalt thou relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
So it says, if thy the key to this precept, it says, if thy brother waxen poor. Right. So if your brother, he's poor, he's waxing poor. The word waxing is like increase. You also see in the Bible where it says he's waxing fat, like he's increased. He's waxing fat. He's got many flocks. He's got cattle. He's got sheep herds. He's balling. He's waxing fat. But in this precept, it says if your brother waxing poor, he getting poor. He's destitute. Read it from the top.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 35. And if thy brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea.
If your brother waxing poor and he fallen into decay, then you shall relieve him. You should help your brother out. Your brother, not keep that in mind. Your brother, not some person that you don't know. Your brother can only be your people. That's how we talk. That's why the Bible has a lot of slang. That's how black people talk. You don't hear no other nation of people say brother. To the point where you'll hear other races talk to you like that. They say, hey, brother. You'll hear a white man call you brother. Back in the day, they used to have white people call black men soul man. Same as like brother. But the way we speak is like, hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing? That we're the only race that does that. That's in the Bible. It's right there in the Bible. Go ahead. And let me just say, it ain't your blood, brother.
Right.
It's just a regular stranger on the street. Hey, how you doing, brother? Hey, what's up with you, brother? All right, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's how we talk. Other people don't talk like that. Go ahead.
Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
Though he be a stranger, we just read in what? Peter, 1 Peter 1:1. Though he be a stranger, he said to the stranger scattered. That's what Peter said. To the strangers dispersed, right? He said scattered. He said scattered. To the strangers dispersed. That's what Peter just said. And a lot of people will say strangers, meaning that's not an Israelite. See, he's speaking to other people. He's not speaking. A stranger is not an Israelite. He's not speaking to God's people. He's speaking to other people. That means that God is for everybody. God loves everybody. You see, the word went to everybody, not just Jews. Jews killed Christ. Jews hated God. They turned their back on God. So God turned around and he tried. Anybody who loves Jesus Christ in their heart, that's God's people. Now read that again. Leviticus 25.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 35. And if thy brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with thee, then shalt thou relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
Though he be a stranger or a sojourner, meaning somebody that is traveling from a far place, that he may live with you. So in ancient times, a stranger, a brother would come into your town, you would invite him in. Most homes had a little pool right in the front courtyard where you had them wash the dust off their feet. Then you will invite them in for food and refreshment. That was just customary of Israelites. That was customary of the Far East. That was customary everywhere. But these are the things of how we should treat one another. You cannot get a nigga to let you borrow 50 cents nowadays. Like, could you imagine, walking an hour, 2 hours from one city to another city, and a random brother see that he know you ain't from there, and he say, "Shalom, y'all be shit like that. Where you from?" "I'm from here." Like, come in, brother. Rest your feet. Here, let me wash the dust off your feet. People wore sandals, right? And then give you some refreshment and let you hang out until you revived enough to keep pushing. You can't. Can you imagine that nowadays? You can't. We hate each other so much. We so damn selfish, and we think everybody is plotting on us. Black people just make enemies out of nowhere. Black people just be like, yeah, niggas be hating on me. Niggas be, and they want to see my downfall. That's why I cannot stand, and I know some of y'all in the live, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I cannot stand. I don't know, just for me, it seems like online, it's always those memes, and it's always like a picture of Kevin Gates or NBA YoungBoy. You wasn't rocking with me when I was down. Don't rock with me right now. Like, it just be like some, bro, like, chill. Like, come on, man. Everybody ain't against you. But it's always this, like, self-pity, they hating, why you, like, that type of so like, it's always that type of stuff online, like, where people, black people in general, we like make enemies out of the air. Like, you just hold haters in your head. You carry the haters around. The haters are with you. Everybody is hating on you. Nobody likes you. Everybody dislikes you. You know what I mean? You got enemy. What, bro? You went to private school. What you talking about? You got enemies. Like, where does this come from? But we have that mentality, like, where we just think everybody is against us, and we make enemies in our head. We make brothers and sisters our enemy off top in our brain. You know what I mean? Read that from the top.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 35. And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then shalt thou relieve him.
That's the precept. Go ahead, keep going.
Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. Verse 36. Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear thy God.
Oh, Salaki, you could drop that. Give me 2 Kings. Give me 2 Kings. Give me what I want 2 Kings 17, and we'll just get a little bit of non-Israelites getting into the land of Israel. How did non-Israelites get into that land, the land of Israel? 17:1. Come on.
This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1. And the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Allah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him.
So this king did evil in the sight of the Lord. Hosea, he did evil, but not as the kings before him. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents.
So the king of Assyria came up against him and demanded tribute. And Hosea, there's a stele, meaning there's a stone stele with this in stone. This is in stone with the king of Israel bound down on his knees to the king of Assyria. Keep going.
Verse 4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea.
He found conspiracy in Hosea. What the story is that Hosea, he went to the Egyptian king. I forget the Egyptian king at the time, to conspire against the king of Assyria. So he was like going, what is it when you saying one thing to this king, now you're going to this king and trying to get his help. Well, the king of Assyria found out, he found conspiracy in him. Go ahead.
For he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt.
Okay, so king of Egypt, go ahead.
And brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year.
So he stopped paying tribute. Tribute is where you would bring the good things from your land. So you'll bring 100 camels with bags full of dates, bags full of gold, bags full of silver, whatever your land produce, you'll bring it to this king. Feathers, spices, whatever it may be. That's paying tribute. Go ahead. America pays tribute to Israel right now. Unbeknownst to whatever everybody knows, America pays tribute to Israel right now. Go ahead.
Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Verse 5. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years.
So he went up to Samaria, which was the capital city of Israel, and he besieged it 3 years. Go ahead.
In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria, and he carried Israel away into Assyria.
So in the 9th year, he took Samaria, and he carried Israel away. Now, in the historical record, when they put the figures together, not all the Israelites, not all the northern kingdom went. There were still northern kingdom people living in the land, but the vast majority of them were deported out of Israel to the land of Assyria. Go ahead.
And carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Anar and in harbor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. For it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from thee.
What verse you on?
Verse 8.
You can drop that now. Now, I want you to skip down. Now, go to Matthew 10 and 57. Not 57, but 10 and 5.
10 and 5.
Yeah.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles.
Now, this is Christ saying, so let me just fill it in. So I believe it's around John 4 and 20, where Christ comes to the woman at the well, and the woman at the well that had 5 husbands, right? And he tells her that she says that her forefathers worship in the mountain. They worship there in Samaria. He said that the day is a day that's going to come where neither you nor your fathers are going to worship in Jerusalem, because we know what we worship. like basically saying you don't know what you worship. Right. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews, right? Because as we just read in 2 Kings, they were deported, the Israelites were deported out of Samaria, and then the king put his people in there. I don't know if we read it. I think it would have been 20, verse 23, it would have skipped up. The king put his people in there, Assyrian people in there. So they had been in the land of Israel just like today. That they're not Israelites, but they're trying to keep the customs of the Israelites. And this lady was one of those type of people that Christ came upon, whom she thought she was a child, a child of the Most High. And Christ said, you don't know what you worship. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. That was in John 4:20, I believe. And then this is Christ saying this again. So where you at right now, Matthew 10?
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5. Mm-hmm. These 12 Yahweh sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He
said, don't go to the Gentiles. Don't go to any of the cities of the Samaritans. Enter ye not. The Samaria. That's where you had heathens living in the land that were keeping, trying to keep the laws. These heathens got in the land in 2 Kings 17. That's how they got into Samaria. So I will get the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary, and let's get Gentile. Give me Gentile so we can understand the difference between a Gentile. What is a Gentile? Because in the Christian church, they teach us that we are Gentiles. Your pastor say you a Gentile. And those people over there in Israel, they're the children of God. Right? Go ahead.
This is page 307, the word Gentiles out of the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start?
Let me see the book. Let me help you out. Now, this is the Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Most brothers get the compact Bible Dictionary. Let me see. Yeah, right there where it's underlined. Yeah, and on down. You don't have to read out those chapters of the Bible.
Sometimes Gentiles refers to Israel, translated nation or people.
Mm-hmm.
In the King James Version as well.
It's translated what?
Nation or people.
Nation or people.
In the King James Version.
Another word would be heathen, that it could be translated as. Go ahead.
As well as ASV, RSV. But am in the ordinary term for Israel, goy usually means a non-Israelite people. In the Greek, ethnos renders goy.
Slow it down. Go back when it talks about Israel.
But am is the ordinary term for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Goy usually means a non-Israelite people.
Mm-hmm.
In the Greek, ethnos renders goy, while Laos people corresponds to Hebrew. Am ethnos is translated.
Wait. Give it here. Salakia. It should be a simpler definition. It should be. Let me see. Or maybe I didn't hear you say it. Well, you read that. Sometimes goy refers to Israel, right?
Yeah, because it breaks it down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Read it from the top and read it to the top to that point.
Okay.
To where sometimes.
The word Gentiles out of the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Gentiles, Hebrew, goy, plural, goyim, nation or people. Translated Gentiles in the King James Version of the Old Testament 30 times. People 11 times. Heathen 142
So
times.
it can also be a heathen. I said that earlier, but you didn't read that. But it also can be nations or it can be heathen, the word Gentile. Go ahead.
In the Old Testament 30 times, people 11 times, heathen 142 times, nation 373 times, nation being the usual translation. Sometimes goy refers to Israel.
Sometimes Israelite can be a Gentile, but Gentile usually refers to non-Israelitish people.
Right.
So Gentile usually refers to people who are not Israelites. But in some occasions, it could be considered Israelite can be considered a Gentile, right? You could drop that. All right. So now what I want to get is let's get Cornelius. So give me Acts 10. Acts 10. Many people fight this too. They fight this and say, well, Cornelius was a Gentile. Cornelius was not an Israelite. Okay. And we're gonna briefly go over that to get an understanding on Cornelius. Yeah.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band.
So Cornelius was a centurion, meaning he was a commander in the military of the Italian band, of the army of Rome. Okay, go ahead.
A devout man and one that feared God with all his house. He gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always.
So it said he was a devout man,
right,
and he feared God with all of his house. Right. And he gave much alms, meaning he gave money, right? He was a devout man. I want you to remember that word. He was a devout man. Keep going.
Verse 3. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon a tanner.
Tanner, yeah.
Whose house is by the seaside.
A tanner is somebody that tans leather. They tan leather, make leather. Go ahead.
He lodgeth with one Simon a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. And when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa.
Just hold that real quick, and I want you to read this, okay? Now, before you read it, this book is called The Jews Among the Greeks and Romans, a Diasporan source book. This is a book, and this is page 88. Here you go. You can put it in the camera. This is a book that I would suggest that, every brother in the school get. We do have a book list for certain books to get. This book is very good for, information, statistics, showing you different things about the Jews and the Romans, and in just the presence of our people in those kingdoms. And I would just say briefly, go ahead and read that, and I'll speak on that real quick. Now, we're talking about Cornelius. Cornelius was a centurion in the Italian band, right? Now, that's the Roman military. Now, well, we're in Greece, right? Right here, we're talking about the Greeks. And what could Israelites do within the Greek community? Go ahead. What's highlighted?
This is page 88 out of the book, The Jews Among the Greeks and the Romans, Jews in the Army. Throughout the Ptolemaic period, Jews are attested at every level of the military.
Jews were what?
Attested at every level of the military.
Jews were in every level of the military, just like Jews are in every level of the military in America today.
Right.
Go ahead.
We know of the river guards, reservists, the so-called Jews of the Epigon, high-ranking officers and commanders-in-chief.
You could drop that. Give me the book. High-ranking officers and commanders-in-chiefs. It's for time's sake. I know it was more on that. I know, but for time's sake, when they get to the meat of everything. Now, the point is that Jews were in the military. Now, when it came to the Roman military, Jews, in order to get citizenship, would join the military. And you had some cold, battalions and bands that were just Jews. One of them was one that was in Italy. And it's not talking about this one, but Jews were actually, just like in America where you had those, the Tuskegee Airmen, and you had platoons of just brothers that was better than everybody else. Or we can go to the, what's those Buffalo Soldiers? You had the same thing in these other kingdoms. We were all over the place, and we were all up and down in these kingdoms. We were living in these kingdoms. Now, the fact we're going to drop, you can read this on your own. This is what when Peter had the vision about Cornelius. Cornelius got a vision to go meet Peter. And then Peter's sitting on the roof and he has a vision about clean and unclean. And he says, I've never eaten nothing unclean or uncommon. And a lot of Christians take that to say that it's talking about food, but it's not talking about food. It is talking about nations, other unclean Israelites coming back into the fold, right? If you could, what I was going to ask for, let's get Alexander. Alexander, you found me an article on that, and then let me get this. I got some good slides for y'all tonight. I want to make sure I get to all of them. Let me see. How can I send this to you? Young man Avant, what's your name on Facebook? I got you. Let me get you real quick. I'll send you something. I'll send it to you. I'm gonna want you to read when I ask for it. That's about the gladiators. Oh, you got that?
Just send me your article.
Oh, Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Want to start from Philip or Alexander?
You can start from Philip. We're going to go into the Bible too, where it explains it too. So we'll just show you that the Bible is definitely a historical manuscript. Go ahead.
Philip's next goal was to defeat Greece's age-old enemy to the east, Persia. Mm-hmm. For years, the massive Persian Empire threatened to the very existence of the Greek way of life. Mm-hmm. But before he was able to pursue his second goal, Philip was assassinated. When his son Alexander took the throne in 336 BCE, mm-hmm. he vowed to complete the plans of his father. In 334 BCE, Alexander invaded Persia, mm-hmm. which lay across the Aegean Sea in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. After 3 grueling years of warfare and 3 decisive battles, Alexander smashed the Persian armies at the Tigris River and conquered the mighty Persian Empire, including the legendary city of Babylon.
I'm going to put a picture of Alexander the Great up. Go ahead. Keep reading.
For many Greeks, this victory marked a moment of sweet revenge against a bitter foe. At this point, at the age of 25, Alexander ruled an expansive empire. Nevertheless, his ambitions were not satisfied. While fighting the Persians, Alexander conquered Egypt and found a city at the mouth of the Nile River.
Now, go ahead.
This city, which he named Alexandria after himself, became a cosmopolitan, diverse, bustling center of trade, the arts, and ideas. But Alexander was not done. He continued his campaign, driving further east until he reached India and the Indus River in 326 BCE. At this point, his exhausted troops refused to fight further. They told Alexander that a truly great leader knows when it is time to stop fighting. Without the support of his army, Alexander had no choice but to turn back and begin consolidating and organizing his far-flung empire. On his way home, Alexander died from disease in 323 BCE.
That's it. Now that's the story of Alexander the Great, right? Who conquered the known world at the time. At the time, the Persian Empire controlled everything. They controlled the Israelites. They controlled Egypt, Syria, all of those lands that they controlled. Alexander conquered them, and he controlled those lands, and he built Alexandria in Egypt, which is today the second largest city in Egypt and the largest city in the Mediterranean. Alexander the Great is well known. This is the image. These are images of Alexander the Great, as you can see. We'll never actually know what Alexander looked like, because a lot of times the sculptures have been destroyed, but these are some of the best representations of Alexander the Greek. You also have this one, which is the most famous one of Alexander the Great in battle on a horse. All right. So now I want to get the first book of Maccabees. Give me chapter 1. And I'll just talk about a little bit of the history. Go ahead.
First Maccabees 1:1.
1:1.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead and first over Greece.
The first over Greece. Now you see what we just read. We just read, this is the Bible, but we read out a historical record, matches up with what the Bible is saying about Alexander. He was the son of Philip of Macedonia. And Philip of Macedonia was an Edomite. Alexander the Great, he was an Edomite. You understand what I'm saying? And so this just shows you that the Bible, the things that have been written down and recorded, these records are real. Now, if you could keep going.
Verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him.
Everybody feared Alexander the Great. He had a very strong army where he gathered different realms of people, and these armies gathered to his army, and many people feared him, his coming, and they just bowed down. You understand? And they became tributaries. They paid tribute to Alexander the Great. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. You
could drop that. That is the story of Alexander the Great. Why am I going over the story of Alexander the Great? Because once Alexander the Great, once he conquered, the Jews were under the Persians. And once he conquered the Persians, the Jews were under the Greeks. And the Greeks showed the same treatment to the Jews as the Persians did. The Persians allowed the Israelites to keep the commandments, to live how we always lived. You were still allowed to be an Israelite and still allowed to keep, worship on the Sabbath, observe the Sabbath and, do all those priestly things in the high holy days. These things have always been. Nebuchadnezzar allowed us to do that. Cyrus the Great allowed us to do that. And then Alexander allowed that. He invited Jews into the lands of the Greeks. And this is in 300 BCE. This is way before, hundreds of years before 70 AD. Jews were living in Greek lands, worshiping Greek gods, living the Greek lifestyle. Greece had ruled the known world, in the language and the religion of the world, the philosophies of the world had now become Greek. Just like in America, because of the power of America, the military might, the technology advances, going to the moon and dropping an atomic bomb, and having bustling cities such as New York, such as Los Angeles, having Chicago, having these things going on, the world follows America. Everybody speaks English. Everybody is trying to change their government to democracy, the same way America runs their government. The culture, the thoughts, the ideologies of America permeate throughout the world. Not everybody follows America, but I'm just saying that's what it was in ancient time when Alexander the Great took over. He took over the known world, the most important parts of the earth, of the world, and it became Greek language and Greek culture. And Israelites were living in Greek lands from that early on, hundreds of years before 70 AD, hundreds of years before the time of the Romans and the time of Christ and the time of Paul and Peter. Okay, so we have that down, right? We got Alexander. Let's go back to Cornelius. Remember, Cornelius was a devout man. Let's give me Acts 2 and 5. Because they say Cornelius was not, he wasn't an Israelite. He was an Italian. He was a Roman. But how you said something? How did Cornelius, how did he get there? Because the Romans are after the Greeks. But Israelites were living in Greek lands before that. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you that in the Agora. Go ahead.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
They say what? Read it from the top again.
The book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men.
Jews, devout men. Cornelius was a devout man. That's how he's mentioned in the Bible, being a devout man. Keep going.
Out of every nation.
Out of where?
Out of every nation.
Jews out of every nation. Wait, hold up. I thought Jews only come from Jerusalem. I thought the Jews was only living in one place. I thought the Jews didn't live in other lands. Go ahead.
Out of every nation under heaven.
Out of what?
Out of
every city.
Out of every nation.
Dispersed.
Out of every nation.
Scattered.
Under heaven. Out of every nation under heaven.
That's right. The Jews were in every nation under heaven, living everywhere, still holding on to their traditions and their, the things they learned from their parents in their ancestral homeland. You know what I mean? So let's get what I want right now, where I want to go. We got Alexander the Greek. Now I want to get, let me see where we want to go. You can give me the Jews and the Greeks. Give me Acts 6 and 1. This is something else that's part of the history. Do we got Alexa set up? We don't got Alexa set up, huh? I don't know if Alexa is plug and play, but you can try it. Go, Zaire, go ahead and plug that in. Plug in Alexa if you can. Yeah, give me Acts. What I want, 6 and 1.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 6, verse 1. And in those days when the number of the disciples was multiplied,
mm-hmm.
there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration.
So there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews. Is that what it said? Okay. Of the Grecians against the Hebrews. Let's go back to the Zondervan dictionary and let's get Grecian. Let's find out what Grecian is. You need what you need? You need a plug? Yeah. There should be one right there down there. Just take the one off that's in that power strip and use that. It takes a USB.
Yeah, it takes like one of these.
A USB. So lock it. Let me see it. Brothers be disconnecting everything. Yeah, you don't see it anywhere. If you don't see it, it's too wild. If you here you go. If you don't see it, it's too wild. Let me know when you got that.
I got it.
All right, go ahead and read.
Grecians.
Yeah.
This is the word Grecians out of the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews.
Oh, what? Oh, it was Jews that were scattered.
Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews.
Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews. Greek-speaking Jews. Now hold that and go back to 6:1. Go back to Acts 6:1.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 6, verse 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration.
Their widows were neglected. So there was a murmuring from the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Now, many people argue about what this is. But in ancient Greece, what they had was they would have kind of like what you have today, where you give out food, but you give it out free or you give it out at a lower price, right? It was called a daily distribution, where they would give out grain and corn and food. So now when you read in the scriptures, it tells you that the apostles say, you know what? We ain't got time for this. We're going to get some brothers that can handle this. We can't be serving tables while we're supposed to be doing the work of the Lord. So you see that the Grecians, or what you would call the Greeks that Paul and Peter went to, were actually Hebrews that did what? Read it from the top. Read that definition again, because people need to know what's going on.
This is the word Grecian out of the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews.
Greek-speaking Jews. Go ahead.
Folk of the dispersion.
Folk of the dispersion. Remember, we talked about being dispersed, the diaspora, being scattered. The Lord said he would scatter us into the lands of the heathen. These are some of these people that were scattered into the lands of the heathen. Go ahead.
Folk of the dispersion from areas predominantly Greek.
For areas predominantly Greek, right? Now, if you could give me what's the word? Hellenes. Look up Hellenes real quick. Hellenes. Hellene. Helen. Right? We're going to get this other precept. Hold on. Is it in there?
So I can spell it again.
Hellenes. Hellene. Helen. It should be in there.
It has Hellenists.
Give me that.
Hellenists.
Give me that.
This is the word Hellenist out of the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Non-Greeks who spoke Greek, a term used specifically of Jews who made Greek their tongue, and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices.
Jews who made Greek their tongue and adopted Greek ideas and practices. These were the people that the Apostle Paul and Peter were going to, the uncircumcised, the people who grew up outside of Jerusalem. They grew up in these Greek lands, speaking Greek language, that's the tongue, and Greek ideas. You know what I mean? So that is something that, a Christian will have to sit in class to understand.
Right.
When you battle on a Christian, they just think that God loves everybody, and it can't be possible that he's talking to the same people. He's talking to the Greeks. Why is he talking to Jews and Greeks? Why is he saying there is no Jew or no Greek? I'm showing you why the Bible says there is no Jew or no Greek. It's not talking about there is no Jew in other nations. It's talking about two types of Israelites. It's talking about one that is in Jerusalem and one that is growing up and living in another land that is considered a Gentile, considered a heathen, considered a Hellen. You know what I mean? Considered somebody that is, he's an Israelite, but he just speaks a whole nother language and he believes in a whole nother God. Just like blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in America speak a whole nother tongue than ancient Hebrew and follow. It's 100 different religions and gods that black and Hispanic people follow in America. So if you could give me, that's it on it. That's all it said, right? That's all. I think that's all I needed. Let's get Maccabees 1:14. 1:14, yeah. First Maccabees 1:14. Excuse me.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the custom of the heathen.
Now, because the Greeks ruled they ruled the Israelites, they ruled Jerusalem, a lot of people started to follow these customs. They say that figures show that there were more Jews in the Greek lands, in the Greek cities, than at Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, they built what? Read it from the top.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise.
They built a place of exercise. That was part of the lifestyle of the Greeks, a gymnasium. Right. That's where your gymnasium comes from. The gymnasium, when you go to the gym and everybody's trying to be half naked and go to the steam room and play sports and physical exercise, it comes from the Greeks. Read it from the top.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. They
built a place of exercise. This is the place of exercise. This is a gymnasium that's still standing from ancient Greece. And if you really look, you see it has an amphitheater. It also has a track going around it. So part of the exercise was running, boxing, wrestling, sports. That was part of the exercise. Read it from the top one more time.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
They built a place of exercise. Keep going. Is there any more on that? Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
They decided they didn't want to be priests and prophets of the Lord anymore. They didn't want to follow their traditions of their forefathers. They stopped getting circumcised and they stopped following the things of their forefathers in order to join the lifestyle of the Greeks. Is there any more? Mm-hmm.
And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
Mm-hmm. They forsook the holy covenant, which is to be circumcised on the 8th day, right? Which is not to be naked around other people. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And joined themselves to the heathen.
And they go ahead. I'm Salaki. Go ahead.
And were sold to do mischief.
And they joined themselves to the heathen. They joined themselves to the Greek. That's why we're reading about in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary that you had people called Hellenists. They were Jews who spoke Greek tongue and believed Greek ideas and philosophies. That's it on it. Now, this is you have an image of an actual gymnasium, right? Still barely standing, just standing, but it's standing, right? And if you have any children right now, if you have any children that's watching, because this is a PG rated program, have them go into the room because I'm gonna show an image, and I don't want them to, I don't want the children to see. Give me a 1 if you done sent your kids up out of the room. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you sent your kids up out of the room before I put these slides up. I'm gonna give it like a minute and then I put it up. Right? I'm gonna give it like a minute. It's about 30 more seconds before I put this up. Now, these are actual artifacts from the gymnasium. And I got to say, before I put this up, this is educational. Akwaf, brothers and sisters. This is educational. This is for education purposes. If you have children, I don't want them to be looking at the screen while I put this up. But this is definitely for educational purposes. This is history. These are artifacts. But to get the understanding, I want to give it to you. You know what I mean? We're talking about the gymnasium. The Israelites forsook the covenant of the Lord. We decided we didn't want to be priests and prophets of the Lord now that Greece was ruling. And they built a gymnasium in Jerusalem. And brothers decided, listen, I want to play sports. What the Greeks are doing, I want to do that. Right? So you look at this slide right here. On one end, you actually have a boxer. You have a brother that's coming out of the hot baths. And on the other end, it looks like brothers are fighting or doing some type of martial arts. Right? I'm not going to hold it on it too long. But for you to understand, this is what the gymnasium was all about. That's what brothers wanted to do. That was Greek lifestyle and Greek culture. Was the gymnasium. Being naked, boxing, naked, sprinting, naked, taking a hot bath, naked, MMA fighting, all of those things. That was the culture that we wanted to follow in the thought and the ideas. You know what I mean? So let me go. I want you to give me a basic definition or a basic breakdown of the agora in Athens. Agora in Athens. All right. We're talking about the Greeks. These are images of the Greeks. This is the phenotype of the Greeks. The Greeks were the seed of Japhet, of Noah's third son. They were not what you thought white people look like today. These are the actual Greeks, actual portraitures. They were a Japhetic people. They definitely had hue. They definitely were dark skinned. They wasn't niggas, but they come out of Abraham, right? And they were given the Isles, the Greek Isles, those lands in the Aegean. You got something? All right, go ahead and give it to me.
This is it says, what is the agora and why is it important? In classical Greek, an agora was the center of the commercial and political life of a city-state.
So the agora was like that middle place center. It was the center of civic life. It was the center of lifestyle. And every Greek city had an agora complex in the middle of the city. Go ahead.
Agora means gathering place, and it truly was a site where citizens could gather and discuss, exchange views, and decide on important issues.
So it was where people would come up with philosophical viewpoints. People would talk. People would congregate. People would gather. People would sell. People would, sell merchandise and all of these things in ancient Greece. This was the agora, right? So this is, I'm going to go into, now I'm going to get into some of the archaeology. I'm going to go into the agora. And the Agora, let me get the dates real quick. Excuse me. You what's wrong? We should have one in here. So the Agora, basically, it was this whole idea was around in 400 BC. That's how far it goes. I'm sorry, 6 BC. That's how far it goes to about 5 AD. Now, the Apostle Paul went to the Agora in Athens, and he walked the earth at 51 AD. So he definitely would have been in these areas where people were sharing ideas and philosophies and worshiping Diana and talking about the Greek gods and, living that lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to know, what did the people look like during that time? What did the people look like during the time of Paul when he went and he went by Athens, when he went through Athens? Because Paul went through Athens 2 times. In the Agora that stands where they're able to excavate and dig and do archaeology, the one that still stands is in Athens, right? And so here are some of the artifacts that still stand today. Now, some of this Agora still stands to this day, the same one that Paul would have went through. And here are some of the artifacts of what the people would have looked like. Now, these Greeks are what you think, or you would probably thought that they would have looked like, Edomites or Caucasian people, but they don't. They don't look like Caucasian people. You know what they look like? They look like niggas. You understand? This is the same place where Paul would have walked through, the Agora. The place where everybody gathered and debated and talked about ideas, and where he spoke about the truth of the Lord to Israelites that were following Greek ideas and customs. And they wanted to put hands on them. And they wanted to put hands on Paul. You understand? These are the artifacts of what the Greeks would have looked like at that time when Paul was there. Or should I say the Israelites speaking Greek language and following Greek customs. So now this is turned into a historical lesson. Go. What you looking for right now? Nothing. This is turned into something. This is turned into archaeology lesson. But this is what the people would have looked like. And we understand that Jews were in these lands long before 70 AD. If you could, let read what I sent you about the gladiators. Our people were used as gladiators. The Jews were used as gladiators. Now, these are Greeks, but I just want to show you that no stone is, no sculpture is ever just, the color of stone. They're always painted. They're always painted. Right. So whenever you see one that is not painted, you already know what has happened. They have whitewashed it. Right. They have made sure to take the color off, so you can't figure out who it was and what it was or what it represented. Now, these were not our people, the ancient Greeks, but they were dark-skinned people at one point in time. They are the seed of Japhet. Now, if you could, let me know when you got that. Go ahead and give me that.
After the capture of Jerusalem in 70 CE, Titus delegated the duty of deciding what to do with all the survivors of the siege those who
we're talking about 70 AD. Go ahead and get that right there. The Zonder Salakia, Babylon from Timbuktu, and just read that part where they came in, because that's history. It's marked.
Oh,
okay. It got the tab on it. Read that. Give me that, and you're going to see what they did with our people once we were captured. How not only the Greeks but the Romans did the same thing with us. Go ahead.
This is page 84.
With some of our people. Go ahead.
This is page 84 out of the book From Babylon to Timbuktu. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
So you could drop that, because I'm not bringing it out for the fact that there was 1 million Jews, but in 70 AD, Titus and Vespasian sieged Jerusalem and destroyed Jerusalem. Now go to that for the what I sent you.
After the capture of Jerusalem in 70 CE, Titus delegated the duty of deciding what to do with all the survivors of the siege, those who hadn't been killed by Roman troops, as they pillaged the city, to his friend Frontal Haterius.
So Titus was trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the people that hadn't been killed in the siege, the rest of the Israelites that hadn't died. Go ahead.
The children were sold as slaves.
The children were sold as slaves. Go ahead.
While the adults met various fates.
The adults met various fates. Okay.
Thousands of them providing an object lesson on the danger of rebellion and the spectacles presented at town after town as the victorious general reasserted Roman control over Judea. By combining these demonstrative shows with celebration of the new imperial family, multiple purposes are served. Source Josephus, The Jewish War, 6.418. Frontal put to death all the seditious ones as the brigands' information began. Frontal put to death all the seditious ones. Seditious ones, and the brigands' information being given by them against each other. He selected the tallest and most handsome of the youth and reserved them for the triumph of the rest. Those over 17 years of age, he sent in chains to the works in Egypt.
So over 17 in age, he sent to work in Egypt. Go ahead.
While multitudes were presented by Titus to the various provinces to be destroyed in the arena by sword as gladiators.
So we were sent into the arena to die by the sword as gladiators. So when you see stories about gladiators, when you see the movie Gladiator, it's a pretty good movie. I like it. I think it's Russell Crowe. It's a good movie. But those were black people fighting animals, wild beasts, fighting each other to the death, to the roar and the cheer of the crowd. Those were Israelites as gladiators. Just think about it. Like you ain't seen white people be no damn gladiators in this time. Who wants to get in an arena with wild beasts? Who wants to get in an arena and just fight people to the death? And just because you want to fight and you want glory from a crowd. Those were people that was forced to fight. Those were people that were left over from Roman persecution, from being captive. Those were the people that didn't die. And they said, what can we do with them? We're going to put them in the games. We're going to put them put them in the gladiators. Let's see who comes out victorious. Let's put them with some bears and some lions and see who comes out alive. That's what they did to our people, man. That's what they did. Is there any more on that, or that was it, right?
No,
if it's nothing of use, if it's nothing like that's really important to add to it,
God, that's it.
That's it. Okay, give me this is going to be the last precept. Give me let's see. Give me Romans 15 and 11, and I'll end it with that. Romans 15 and 11.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 11. And again, praise the Lord, all ye Gentiles, and laud him, all ye people. And again, Messiah saith, there shall be a root of Jesse, and he that shall rise to reign over the Gentiles, in him shall the Gentiles trust.
In him, so this it says there should be a root of Jesse. The root of Jesse is who? Go ahead. Christ, Jesus Christ. Yahawashi Mashiach. The root of Jesse is going to reign over the Gentiles. There shall be a root, right? To reign over the people who are Israelites, right, who are living in different lands and don't know who they are, just like black people and Hispanic people and Native Indian people who met. Like they say that the slave trade started with the Spaniards taking Taino Indians back to Europe first. So you have the blood of Taino Indians and Arawak Indians in Europe. You have a bloodline, right, that's scattered way over there. They're Gentiles and they don't know. You got so many brothers and sisters that don't know that they're Gentile. They would be considered, we, not us in I.S.U.P.K, because we know who we are. We know that salvation is for the Jews. Right. And we keep the law, statutes, and commandments under the faith of Christ. But for the brothers and sisters that are lost and don't know, they would have been considered Gentiles right now. They are Gentiles right now. They don't know the commonwealth of Israel. They don't understand that we are connected as a family, right? And so it says that he shall reign over the Gentiles. Gentiles being Israelites that did not know who they were, Israelites that grew up in the Agora, Israelites that grew up in a time where, you know, they didn't know that they were supposed to be circumcised, and they didn't know that they were supposed to keep, you know, Hanukkah and high holy days and all of these things. They followed Diana, the goddess, the Apollo and Zeus and all of these gods in Greece. And the whole time they were the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Give me Acts 5 and 30. I thought that was going to be the last precept, but it's like it. Acts 5 and 30. Acts 5 and 30.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 30. The God of our fathers raised up Yahawashi.
The God of our fathers raised up Yahawashi. Go ahead.
Whom ye slew and hanged on a tree.
Right.
Him hath God exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel. To
give repentance to who?
To Israel.
To Israel. The Lord raised up Christ to be a prince and a savior, to give repentance to who?
To Israel, and forgiveness of sins.
And let me, Salakia, this is a hardcore cut to any Christian that battles you. That right there, Acts 5 and 30, any Christian that battles you, it's very specific that Christ was raised up to give repentance to Israel, not repentance to Jews, Greeks. It's not even specifying who. It's just saying Israel, right? Drop that. Give me Salakia. This is another one that'll cut somebody. Give me Acts 18 and 24. Well, we're on the idea. We're talking about Jews and Greeks. We're talking about being a Gentile and being a chosen person of God, or does God just love everybody? 18 and 24.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 18, verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain Jew named Apollos.
A certain Jew named Apollos. Now, I just want to go a little bit back. When you think about the fact that we went into Greece in 300 BC, Israelites or Jews were following Greek customs and ideas. We started to also name ourselves after Greek names. So when you open up this book, when you get this, brothers, this book, The Jews Among the Greeks and Romans, you'll see that there's a lot of evidence of Jews, but their names were Greek names. Apollos is a Greek name after the Greek god. Read it from the top.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 18, verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain Jew named Apollos.
A Jew named Apollos. It's kind of like me saying in our time, like, what's the African name? Gumbege. I just make something up. Matumbo. The Jew named Matumbo. The Jew named Ashawenge. I don't know. But the Jew, meaning he's a Jew that obviously he grew up in this land and his parents named him a name that's native to that land. Right. Go ahead.
Born at Alexandria.
Now, this is a Jew. This is history, though. I'm going to show you how this is history. He's a Jew with the name Apollos. That's a Greek name. Right. Born in Alexandria. That's Egypt. Why does he have a Greek name? He was born. How is he an Israelite, a Jew, born in Egypt with a Greek name? Right. We went over it earlier. Right. Alexander the Great. That's history. Alexander conquered Egypt, right, and he built the city Alexandria. You know what I mean? And of course, if Greece is the world power, you're going to name your name after one of those popular names. Right. Just like in America, our names some black people got names like Tom and James and Jeremy and Trevor. You know what I mean? These are names that come from white European society, but it's common. Right. Go ahead.
Born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures.
So that brother right there. So Apollos, the Jew, born in Alexandria, is just like Thawal Gabar, a Jew, born in America, right, mighty in the scriptures. That's right. You understand? With that, that's the class. Hey, Shalom, Israel. The water for rocking with us. Let's clap it up. The water for rocking with us. This was a tough historical lesson. I hope y'all gained some knowledge and understanding and learned something in this lesson. And we'll be back next week. I'm going to go over the sexual revolution. I'm going to go over the reason why Black and Hispanic, people brothers think that it's okay to be half naked. It's okay to be highly sexualized. It's okay for, things that we see as far as sexuality to be normal when it is not okay. These are things that have come from, ancient times. And I may have to go back to the gymnasium to explain how the sexual revolution started. The water to everyone, the water to all the brothers and sisters. Let me just give some shout outs. The water to Denny's, Sister Barata Nawa. Let's see, Young Man B is in the house. Sister Amara, she's in the house. Kalmaz Baf, Elmas Shagan, he's in the house. Iraq, what's happening? I.S.U.P.K. Richmond, Black Dazzle, Trooper Halak, what's good with you, brother? Nina W. Hey, the water for all of y'all for rocking with me. I hope y'all learned something, and I will be back to bring something heavy. This is the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander Junior YAHANNA, the water, and we up out of this thing. Shalom.
Quit. Alexander the Great.
Say that again.
How did nigga go from fighting